year, I took my grandmother to go see her doctor for lab results. The doctor diagnosed her with cancer with a 40% chance of surviving it. He stated that if he received those results even 1 week earlier, that chance of survival would have increased to 50%. My name is Ricky. These are my colleagues Peter and Trevor, and we are from Excalibur Consulting. Today, we are explaining how you, Mr. Nelson, and your esteemed partners could enter the health industry through the use of electronic medical records and electronic health records. Our recommendation consists of two components. Phase 1 is creating a consulting company, and Phase 2 is creating a data analytical solution software suite. Phase 1 is the short-term strategy, and Phase 2 is a long-term component of our strategy. You've asked us why should we enter the health industry, and specifically why electronic health records. A very good reason is that the Alberta government is providing tremendous support for these initiatives. They've invested over $2 billion to get physicians to invest in electronic health records and electronic medical records. Also, through this initiative, that adoption rate has been increasing through physicians and doctors as well, and this opportunity is very lucrative. But more importantly, you'll be saving a lot of lives because of the quicker access to these records. So what are your core competencies? What can you bring to this health industry? First, system implementation and change management. You guys have, your company has great expertise in these areas, and also one of your associates has great IT architecture and interface protocol capability. Moreover, you have past experience in the electronic health record industry, and also one of your partners has worked with Infoway, which is part of the Alberta health industry, an agency department leading these initiatives.
Now that we've gone and told our strategy for you, we want to allow you to tell you the issues so you can know, so you can make the informed decision that we want you to make. Issues we see with the electronic healthcare industry is there's a huge change management component. Doctors are not inclined to change, and changing their processes will be very, very, very difficult. Another component is the IT security. Data is very, very important to keep secure, and especially with healthcare records, the industry really needs a standardized process. Finally, as Ricky mentioned, is the adoption rate. How will we get these doctors to adopt to using a system they didn't use previously? So our recommendation, we said, is to create a consulting arm, as well as the long term is to use data analytics to fund your firm. Implementation will cost $125,000, and it'll take 1.5 years. And the preferred situation is get you to the top of that industry. So what are the first issues? It's the integration issues. So there is no standard protocol. For data, it's very, data is highly fragmented right now. You have doctors that are using the paper-based systems, they're using electronic systems, and there is no, the adoption, it's not standardized. As well, tacit data within firms, within the doctors' practices, they're not shared as well, and they may never be shared because doctors do not want that to be known. Next one is the change management aspect. So, as I said before, doctors, they've done how they've been doing things for many, many years. One thing that we found is that they don't want to change the way they operate. So the process has to be very, very efficient, and they don't want to do anything they haven't done before. Another thing is the fact that they have to have a business to run. So on top of looking for IT, they have to run their business. They have to be the entrepreneur for their practice. So without the adoption of electronic health records by these doctors, these systems will simply never work. Electronic health records will never work. A current process right now in a doctor's office, let's say Sue, she breaks her arm, she wants to get it checked out. And she goes to the doctor, the doctor writes her an x-ray, and then she will then have to go to the x-ray before she can even get treatment. So she would have to, the x-ray results then get faxed, or they get sent to the office, the medical office somehow. And these paper records could potentially even get lost, and they could be potentially not treated the right way. And then after all that ensues, the patient then has to reschedule to finally get the treatment they need. The key takeaway here is that these bottlenecks within the current processes of what the doctors are doing, they're causing they're causing high demand for the doctors. This creates huge overtime costs for the government, as well as overworked doctors. So the doctor market is very saturated. It's very the doctors are very overworked these days. There's a very high demand for them. And finally, with the analytics. The analytics right now, you have no systems in place to make the reports and make the information that you need necessary in the market, of course. So patient, hospitals, illness doctors, all these sources of information from databases, they go through processes that will have huge maintenance costs, slow response times, and they're very, very poorly done because of all these, they're not integrated. So, what are the next steps? So, we've identified that you do need to create this consulting arm. This consulting component, so that is a yes. The service that you provide, since your core competencies is in systems implementations and change management, these are services that we want you to provide. There is a potential here for an ERP package, Enterprise Resource Planning package, to integrate all these systems together so we can create that and then you can sell that off to the doctors. However, this is not your core competencies, and an ERP in a doctor's office where they don't want any of their other processes to be changed may not be the right and correct way to go. So that is an alternative that we have chosen not for you to do. And finally, and what kind of electronic record types do you want to maybe specialize in? So the three types right here, Lotus, SL, ERM, and Callegria, they are supported by all the provinces right now. And the open source Open ERM is one that Ontario has approved. However, with data security in mind, an open source solution may not be the best way to go. Therefore, in your best interest, it's best to go with Lotus, SLERM, and Callegria.
So after going over the alternatives, we narrow down what exactly your company should do. The first part, again, is creating that consulting arm and that company, and then in the long term, it's creating that data analytics software suite. So in terms of phase one, in your general consulting process that would work in this type of industry is, you want to reach out for those medical offices. These medical offices are going to be in urban areas. Urban centers with population of about 50K per city. With that, you want to walk through the office recruitments, and here you want to not target the doctors. As we stated, they're overworked. They have a lot on their mind, and they'd rather deal with the patients than another salesperson. So you want to deal with the office manager. And the reason there will be an office manager because the offices or clinics we'll be targeting will be with physicians that has 5 or more physicians. The reason for this is the 3 solutions that you'll be specializing in the consulting arm, the cost of implementing those solutions for offices with 5 or more physicians is significantly lower than an office that only has 1 physician. This reduces helps mitigate resistance to change and increases adoption of the system. Moving on from that is you would analyze the current business processes. Normally they're the same from one doctor's office to the next, but you also want to take into mind, is there any customizable features that doctor or that office requires? And from there, you will be implementing the system and doing ongoing support. So the change management plan, as we said, adoption is key in the health industry. Doctors are used to doing what they've done in the past 100 years. It's very hard to bring them on board and change their current habits. So one component is the communication plan. Number 2 is targeting the office manager instead of the doctors, as I previously stated. And third is partner with InfoWay to create a standardized certificate. And that turns into the data security component that we brought up previously. In the communication plan, we want to explain the benefits of enterprise medical records, electronic medical records to those doctors, physicians, to the office manager so they can relay it off to their doctors. Explicitly state that the increased speed is beneficial for them so they can help diagnose patients much better. Going back to the example of my grandmother, 1 week we could have made a difference, we could have made a 20% difference. That benefit needs to be communicated to the doctors. And also, we want to explain all the various government subsidies and grants available for investing in the healthcare industry in terms of IT and specifically in electronic health records and medical records. The sales plan. How are you going to approach these clinics? Again, you want to attend medical conferences to increase your brand awareness. Again, you are a new company that will be incorporating, so going door to door right tomorrow will not work because there's no brand associated with your partners and your associates. You have a great reputation in the industry, but your consulting arm does not. So with that, increasing that brand awareness over time by attending these medical conferences will be greatly beneficial. And you want to explain the benefits of cloud computing and its affordability. Again, yes, they are doctors, but at the end of the day, they are also entrepreneurs. They care about their revenues, they care about their expenses. Explaining the benefits of cloud computing and stating that it's a much cheaper alternative will benefit them and reduce any resistance to change and bring them on board as well. And you want to showcase any successful implementations of electronic health records in Europe. Part 2 is creating a data analytical solution. This is for predictive analysis. For this solution, you will not be going to the doctors, you'll be going to the provincial government bodies because they'll be storing their data in their databases. As explained, error analysis is very cluttered, there's a lot of high maintenance costs to generate reports, and it's very hard to predict any processes. With this, for one example, how it works is the patient sees a doctor. This doctor has an integrated electronic medical record system within their clinic. He updates the records and that gets transferred to the provincial body's electronic health record system. But from there, the data warehouse will be extracting that data from various databases and it will do predictive analysis. So, in terms of the data warehouse, you want to extract, clean, and export. What this means is, the left-hand side is all the provincial government's databases on patient records, hospitals, illnesses. As we explained before, it is very hard for them to do any form of predictive analysis. From that, you need to export the data into the data warehouse, clean it. What that means is make sure it's the same format, it's readable, and you're able to group that data into specific sets that you want to analyze. From there, it's a much more faster process. There's a low maintenance cost, and you can do geographic reports, illness reports, and analytics. But in terms of the predictive analysis, how it would work is any updates in illness, like last year, there was a swine flu outbreak. That will be recorded once a patient comes to a doctor, it will be recorded there. And once it updates in the database, more of those occurrences will happen, and then it will be provided on a heat map. This heat map will solely show where all the outbreaks are happening, and with that, it will be real-time updates. With these real-time updates, you'll be able to prevent where the next breakout is going to occur. Will it happen in BC? Will it happen in Alberta? Where was the original source of the breakout? From there, you can allocate resources, allocate medicine, allocate professionals, because yes, the health industry is constrained by a budget, and what does predictive data analysis? It will help make that process much more efficient. And the benefits of our recommendation. There will be paperless records once there's integration of electronic health records. The doctors will be able to help and serve more patients, saving more lives, increasing their bottom line. And also, with the IT system and the cloud computing, there will be that data security component, because independent auditors will also be hired to make sure that the system is meeting all verification processes.
previously, this plan will take 1.5 years and it's a total cost of $725,000. So this is a timeline of our phase one. So I'll walk you through a few of the steps. So the first step is basically to protect yourselves. This medical industry is highly risky because if there are any problems in the future with medical records, someone can breach. You want to protect yourselves so you save your assets. You don't get sued. So by incorporating federally, you protect yourself and protect your business as well as your assets. Next step is to analyze the processes and figure out which vendors are the most beneficial and what features they have. Because since your company will be specializing in all three products, you want to know what features are available. Different doctors need different features. Some doctors may need support for x-ray, some doctors may need support for blood work, some doctors may need support to prescribe medicine. So having a spreadsheet laid out and finding out exactly what these products offer, when you do meet with clients in the future, you can easily analyze their needs and figure out which products will fit best. So I'll go through one of the more important steps, which is a pilot plan. So some of the key points are basically, I'll walk through. You need to gather requirements. You need to figure out exactly which office, what they need. So again, if they are a specialist, if they are primarily working with footwork, so they need access to x-ray and to blood work, you'll find out exactly what they need and figure which products are best for them. Some general practitioners might specialize in certain industries as well, some areas such as cancer treatment. So with this, you may need some more information on some access to databases which will provide information on how to treat cancer, certain symptoms to pick up on. So after the requirements are gathered, you pick a vendor. So this, for example, by picking Lotus, you would, since Lotus is not customized, what needs to be done next is the customization. So what this means is figuring out what the business processes are in the doctor's office. By talking to the office manager, laying out exactly, from step one, when the patient walks in, what happens, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. Once this is completed, you lay out the use case with the screens. So you format certain screens in a certain way, and once this is done, you test this with the office manager. Once the office manager thinks they're okay, this is when you contact the doctor. Especially previously, the doctor is very important, he's very busy. So if you were to keep on bugging the doctor, they have a very negative feeling with the system. So once you get a polished system in place, the processes, what you do is you need to show the doctor once, walk them through it or her, and see exactly where they find points as well. By gathering their feedback, you can ensure that once this product does go live, they will actually use the system and they'll enjoy using it, and they'll recommend it to their other colleagues and other offices as well. So with Go Live, you also need some support. This is a brand new system. Doctors are using the same system by using paper and pen for their whole lives as doctors. So what you want to do is you want to create some kind of support system, one-on-one training, ensure that once the product is live, they have somebody to reach out to if there are any issues. Next, I'll expand on some of the medical conferences. What this entails is going to medical conferences and showcasing what the benefits are. Giving feedback from other doctors. Doctors trust other doctors. And once you give that feedback from other doctors, you can basically outline what the cases are, like where they save time, how they improve patients' lives by having a system in place. This is how you sell the product and you'll ensure that, that your services will be used by other doctors in Alberta in the future. Also, just want to expand as well on another certification, which basically will showcase which doctors have a system in place. And new patients can go to these doctors and find out which doctors have a certification in place, have these records in place as well, so that in the future they can choose a doctor which has updated information in their system. So with our strategy, we have a few risks and mitigation to go over. First one is the important part of the government may not want to be partner for this certification. So this mitigation is because the provinces do want these health records to take place. This is a very, very low risk. However, there will be a willing provincial partner government that will want to do this. Finally, the next component is the fact that it may not scale. And this may be very, very important because in medium risk, because the adoption rate is the most important factor of having your services. So we recommend using moving to a web portal to speed up the process of getting these requirements and delivering the value that you can deliver. Finally, a month ago you asked us, what should we do? Right now, we're telling you it's time to enter this consulting market. And we're out.
Okay, discussion. What are your thoughts on revenue streams, extender streams, and maybe start with
In terms of revenue streams, it would be that consulting process of going in and implementing the system to the 501 positions. That's one component of the revenue stream. And the long-term strategy is creating a data predictive analyst software, which could, once the integration does start happening, within 5 years. So the first component is the data awareness, so that takes about roughly 6 months. And from there, you can start the implementation of the software. So from 6 month period on from tomorrow.
So what makes the MetaCloud solution different from any other medical consulting companies or other?
It's a process of change management. Since your team has somebody that has experience in this field, they know exactly what to face and where change management pain points are. We can focus on that by offering clear processes as well as change management, and as well as a well-customized solution.
Could you provide some insight into the $125,000 of implementation costs? What goes into that?
So 125,000 is mostly for the pilot project, to find out what the requirements are necessary. So 40,000 of it is going into the process of a doctor's office, finding out the requirements and developing that software, that solution, and define that process for you to carry over into future use.
So the primary outcome then would be having that completed pilot project and the company stood up.
Yes, it'll be completed on a pilot project, and also it'll be a learning curve. So once the pilot project is complete and we go into full system implementation for all of our offices, our clients, the cost will be reduced as well, so that pilot project has a learning curve component from us.
Thank you.
Do you guys have any geographical focus when you didn't really mention what area of Canada would be targeted?
Folks will be in Western Canada, so Alberta is the first province we target, moving over the west coast of British Columbia, as well as Saskatchewan region.
Why don't you start with the west?
That's what my money is. So West is it's where the money is, and the adoption rate in these provinces is growing. It's growing a lot, and there's a lot of potential here to entry for our services. For your
Because we
services.
don't see the increased adoption as some sort of competition or the barrier to entry.
We don't see it as a barrier of entry because one, your core competencies, you're going to be offering that a customized solution that's very simple. You're not going to be changing the front end of the system that they're going to implement, so there's not going to be any major changes to the doctors or the clinics. The back end is where the bread and butter is. So when it comes to the doctor offices for other consulting companies, their software solutions and would be very different, and there's going to be high resistance to change to those consulting companies. What our proposed recommendation, since it's quite simple and customizable, low resistance, low barriers to entry.
Quick question about the sales model. You've chosen to work with the office managers who generally are not the business owners or the business decision makers. How do you feel that will impact the time to market or your business development approach?
So we chose this model because we know that doctors, they don't have the time. They don't have the time to be searching for the IT vendors, to be searching for the right solutions. So we want to make the scalability approach as painless as possible. So we want the ability for these office managers to give these requirements, and then our consultants, or your consultants, will go into these clinics, and they'll implement the system. They'll go to